Hi everyone, I'm Nat. Thank you for the introduction. We can go to the next slide. Before we begin, I wish to acknowledge the land on which this project and the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it's been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this land is my home and the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to share the space while I work and learn from Indigenous leaders in our community who continue to battle the impacts of colonization and anti-Indigenous racism to this day. It is also my duty to acknowledge the land on which we gather today, which is the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people, and it's where Kapud, who was a main partner on this project, also exists. Next. So the objectives, we're going to understand how this project started, understand the spotting service, how spotting services operate, describe some strengths, limitations, and considerations from the perspectives of those who provided and utilized spotting services, and determine the role of spotting in HIV prevention and care amongst people who use drugs, and offer practical insights into the potential for future program development and implementation. So how this project started, pre-COVID, there was a Facebook group that a number of people who use drugs had started to be able to support each other. The purpose of that Facebook group was to spot one another because oftentimes we can't utilize the services in which we work. And even if we can, it leads to stigmatization and oppression. And so we, as people who use drugs, decided that we would create this group and begin spotting one another. Also, during this time, Grenfell Ministries began their pilot spotting service in Hamilton, Ontario, and then COVID shut everybody down. People who use drugs from the Facebook group decided to come up with a number of scripts so that they could share them, so that they could provide them to their allies so that they would know how to support them. Spotting and sharing began also winding down, which was a working group at the Dr. Peter Center. I was a part of that group, and right prior to Christmas, I wrote an email requesting that all of the folks that were in the group consider becoming spotters for people who use drugs in their lives, because often during holidays and the services aren't available for us. From that, DPC and Westside Harm Reduction created a tool for allies to be able to spot people who use drugs. And U of T approached Kapud to do this research project, and Kapud proposed they look at the function of virtual consumption services as both formal and informal spotting began getting attention. So what is spotting? It's reaching out to a friend, a family member, coworker, someone you feel safe with, and asking them to be available while you use a substance. That can be done over the phone, over Zoom, over Facebook Messenger. There's many mediums. During that connection, folks disclose pertinent information. So like their location, what substances they're using, whether their door is locked or unlocked, if there's a buzzer code into the building, so that the person spotting them knows where to send services, emergency services, should an overdose occur. Then the individual consumes substances while connected to that individual, the spotter, and they speak with each other for 5 to 15. I've been on calls for up to an hour after consumption to ensure that the person has safety. But it's also a great opportunity to speak with folks about whether they have access to supplies, whether they have been to a consumption site, why or why not, and stay connected as peers to one another. Next. So this says spotting simulation, but there it is. So we made a video, Kapud, Katie, and U of T. Wow, almost forgot U of T. And we put together a video, so we're going to show it.
Hi, Corey. I just grabbed some down and I don't want to use alone. Will you spot me?
No problem. Let's come up with the plan. Where are you at right now, Alex?
The address here is 321 Bronte Street, Unit 503. The closest intersection is 2nd Avenue and 3rd Street. I'm using it in my living room.
Okay, what drugs are you using and how are you planning on using them?
I just grabbed some down and I'm smoking it. It's a new batch, a new color, so I'm a bit nervous. Do you have 15 minutes to stay on the phone while I smoke?
Absolutely. Who am I going to call in case of an overdose?
You can call my neighbor Sam at 666-555-1234.
If I call them and they can't get there in time, are you okay with me sharing your information with EMS?
Yes, you can call EMS. I just don't want the police here.
I can't guarantee the police won't show up if I have to call EMS, but you may want to put away anything you wouldn't want them or the police to see. The Good Samaritan law should protect you from being arrested if you overdose, but it doesn't protect you from being charged for other reasons. Do you have naloxone on you?
Yeah, there is a kit that hangs on my hook by my front door, and Sam, my neighbor, also has some.
Okay, you should put away any pets and make sure your front door is unlocked.
OMG, thanks for reminding me.
Okay, I can't see you. I would feel better if you turned your camera on. That way I know you're okay.
Okay, I'm turning on the camera. Give me a minute to set my shit up. So I just put 1/4 of a point on foil. Just put the rest of my packet away. 1 sec. Okay, now I'm going to smoke. Okay, I think I feel okay.
You feeling all right?
Yeah, if you could stay on the line for a little while longer, that would be great.
I'm happy to do that. Where do you get your gear from? Alex? Can you hear me? Alex, how are you feeling right now? Alex, I need you to answer me. Are you there? Alex, if you don't answer me, I'm gonna have to call your neighbor or EMS. Hey, there you are. Can you say something to me, please? Okay, I'm calling your neighbor to see where he is. Alex, talk to me. Alex. Hey, Sam. I'm one of Alex's friends. She asked me to monitor her while she was using Down. She's not doing great. Okay, one sec. I'll try again. Alex, I'm on the phone with Sam. Are you with me, Alex? Alex, answer me. No answer. Ugh. Sam, can you get here right away? No? Okay, I'm gonna call EMS. Hi, I'm calling you because my friend has overdose. 321 Bronte Street. Apartment 503. Intersection 2nd Ave and 3rd Street. Yeah, the door's unlocked and their dog is away. Please hurry. This video presents one scenario. People react in many ways to drug use. For more information about the overdose crisis, overdose education, naloxone distribution, harm reduction services, and any other information, connect with your local harm reduction program and any of the below. We dedicate this video to all the people who have been lost to the overdose epidemic and the pioneers who spot to keep their community alive.
So that's our video. It stars myself, Cassandra Smith, and my dog, as he had great timing starting to bark.
This is my hack for working smart.
All right, so methods. This study draws on 30 interviews conducted in Ontario, Nova Scotia. Participants were recruited through the personal networks of research assistants with lived experience and other team members. 20 people who used drugs provided or used informal spotting, and 10 people provided or used formal spotting, 20 people who used drugs who provided or used informal spotting, and 10 people provided or used formal spotting were recruited. Participants completed semi-structured audio recorded interviews, 20 to 90 minutes, and we did a thematic analysis. I'd also like to just say that the participants were often women, racialized groups, Indigenous communities, gender diverse folks, and those are the folks that don't come into the services, often because of systemic oppression, racism, gender-based violence. And so spotting was a tool that they were using, and it came out quite clearly when we saw who was responding. So results, benefits include increase in safety, privacy, stigma-free context, COVID-19 prevention, accessible for those who smoke or inject drugs, sense of accomplishment, improved connection, and increased access to prevention care and knowledge. So for concerns associated with spotting, police, we saw that in the video, folks are afraid that police will come. If folks are parents, they're afraid that they may lose their children. Somebody said, I've experienced anxiety and worry. What I'm doing is actually going to help or save somebody in time. I worry that the overdoses won't be attended on time, and I worry about the negative impacts of overdoses like later on for them. And burnout, for people who are doing spotting for individuals, one of the concerns is that people will burn out and or be impacted by what they see because they don't get to see the end result. recommendations to improve spotting, developing guidelines for spotters and spottees, improve awareness of spotting services within the community, increase supports available for spotters like trauma care and monetary supports. One of our participants said it would be kind of nice to know if there's a best way to do this, like maybe if there's something we could have done different that I could provide advice around if we had forgotten something that would kind of help make things safer. Implications for practice. Spotting is a novel addition to, but does not replace, existing harm reduction services. People who use drugs need options. Not one service can serve all communities. Additional supports, guidelines, home delivery changes to the Good Samaritan Act are needed to optimize spotting practices. There is a potential for integrating HIV prevention care within spotting services. Criminalization of uptake may impact effectiveness of formalized spotting services. And before we end, next slide. For folks, I might cry. For folks who don't know, this is Rebecca Morris Miller. Oh, I'm gonna cry. And Rebecca started NORS. And unfortunately, due to the stigma that we face as people use drugs, we're champions in our communities fighting for services and access, but we can't access them ourselves. And so sadly, we lost Rebecca, but I wanted to take a moment to remember her when talking about spotting because she championed NORS and Grenfell Ministries. That's it. That's the whole.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nat. Can we take a question or two?
Yeah.
Okay, this is not working.
The crying sneaks up on me, you know?
Do we have any questions?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll go.
Oh, my makeup.
Hey, Natalie.
Hey.
This is Tommy Brothers. Nice to see you in real life, and thanks so much for coming and doing this. I really appreciate it. I was wondering, it seems like people who use drugs in your community were already leading this work, already doing this work, already pioneering this. Could you speak to, was the research part of it useful? Did adding the research in and doing the research have impact? Do you think that helped spread this practice or make it better? Or did it really not impact that much, the work that was already being done on the ground?
So I think what this did was during interviews, we spoke about, even in recruitment, different ways that people could be spotted. So in person, somebody watching over you, over the phone, over Zoom, over Facebook Messenger, over WhatsApp, and we'd be like, or maybe you used a service like NORS, or like the Brave app. And so people were like, what? That's a thing? You want to know about that? Or oh, I should use one of those, to do this. So I think it increased knowledge and around different resources that were available for people who use drugs to spot one another. The one thing that I can say is a newspaper contacted me and wanted to do the story right away, right? On, spotting's happening. And I was like, no, I can't, because I'm going to out myself. And what will happen is my Facebook account will get shut down that we spot one another with. And the service that I work at, people may be confused that what I'm providing off time is a service that's formal within my organization. And there's liability, obviously, with that. So I think there was some learning and stuff. Yeah, I kind of went all over the place with that. But learning for me and learning for community. And I think people are doing it more often. You know, they just don't even realize it because it's such a natural practice. We just do it. We've always done it.
I think this is really important as well in the sense of when we think about Ontario, when you hear the controversy and the politicalization of safe consumption sites and how that's going to change over time, how something like this is an essential sort of step moving forward. But there's a question here.
There's an article in the Toronto Star yesterday about that. They interviewed me.
Thank you so much for that presentation. As you went through the training video, it really struck me as how traumatic it could be to be a spotter, right? The kind of experience, and then that came up as a point that you raised in some of the feedback that you were getting in your interviews. I just wonder if you could speak a little bit about what you think, what needs to be done about that, or what supports could be made available to the spotters to help with that, so that it's not, contributing to mental health problems or, triggering substance use for them.
So I think, if a service is going to get formalized, first and foremost, people need to be paid appropriately so that they can take care of themselves when they're providing this support. And there needs to be sick time. There needs to be access to grief and loss and trauma care. There also should be some sort of mechanism where maybe that somebody can follow up. Because I think, even when I would spot someone, 9 times out of 10, it's nothing, you just sit and chill with someone and make sure they're okay. But that one time, that something may happen, luckily, if it's a friend of mine, I know to call their partner or a neighbor or their friend to check on them. And I think that's something that formal services, they don't know who's calling. So I'm not sure how they could get that information back. But I think it's training and supports and proper pay. People who use drugs don't get that. They work in consumption sites all the time, yet they don't have sick days. They don't have vacation days. They don't have lieu days. When they use, they're stigmatized, they're fired, And so when we make these jobs, we need to ensure that we think about how we can actually support the individual, because it is a job and they deserve the same respect as any other profession.